All right, let's dive into a thought experiment that is so wild it really forces you to rethink something we take for granted every single day. What if one of the fundamental rules of physics, gravity, just stopped working for one very specific thing?
I mean, really think about that. Not just the water in your glass, but every single ocean, every river, every cloud, heck, every drop of moisture inside every living thing. What if it all just decided, nope, gravity doesn't apply to me anymore? What would that moment, that catastrophic planet-altering moment, actually look like?
So this whole thing, it's not going to be a slow burn. It would be instant, a violent transformation of the entire planet. Let's call it the Great Upheaval. And believe me, it would all be over in a matter of minutes.
Just try to picture it. The water in the glass next to you would suddenly lift out and just drift towards the ceiling. Puddles outside would peel themselves right off the pavement. Even the moisture in the air, in the soil, inside plants, even inside our own bodies, would start pulling upward, away from the Earth.
In just the first 60 seconds, everything we know about how the world works gets flipped on its head. Rivers would stop flowing to the sea and instead start flowing toward the sky. Lakes and seas would literally detach from their beds in these massive shimmering sheets. And then, the oceans. All 326 million cubic miles of water would begin to rise as one single colossal body.
And we're not talking about a gentle float upwards. Oh no, this would be a violent, planetary-scale evacuation. The force of the rising oceans would be unimaginable. It would scour the seabed clean, pulling everything, sand, rock, sunken ships, and every single aquatic creature up into the atmosphere with it. It would be, without a doubt, the most cataclysmic event in the planet's entire history.
So where does all that water go? You might think it would just fly off into space, right? Well, not exactly. It would actually be held in place by Earth's remaining gravity, forming a completely new and frankly utterly terrifying layer of our atmosphere.
Our planet would now be wrapped in what you could call a hydroatmosphere. And this isn't just water vapor like the clouds we have today. No, this would be a thick, churning, horrifying soup of liquid water, ice crystals, salt, sediment, and the remains of every whale, shark, and fish that ever lived in the sea.
If you could somehow survive on the surface and you dared to look up, you would see a sight of absolute cosmic horror. The sky? Gone. In its place, you'd see a dark, thick, moving ceiling made of the world's oceans, stretching from horizon to horizon. The sun would be completely blotted out, plunging the Earth into an eternal, crushing darkness. Now, this new hydroatmosphere wouldn't just be scary to look at. Its physical properties would unleash two final planet-killing knockout punches: unimaginable pressure and inescapable heat. I mean, just look at the difference here. Our atmosphere today is this thin, delicate, life-giving blanket of nitrogen and oxygen. This new thing, it's a thick, lethal shell of water and junk. But the real game changer, the pressure. The entire weight of all the world's oceans would now be pressing down on every square inch of the land. The atmospheric pressure at what used to be sea level would spike by a factor of 10,000. That's a pressure so intense it's far greater than anything you'd find in the deepest part of the Marianas Trench. So what does that pressure actually do? Well, it means instant annihilation. Steel skyscrapers, they'd crumple like you'd crush a soda can. Even mountains themselves would groan and start to fracture under that immense load. The ground itself would become superheated just from the compression alone. There is absolutely nothing we know of that could survive it. And if that wasn't enough, then comes the heat. See, water vapor is an incredibly powerful greenhouse gas. So when you make the entire atmosphere out of it, any heat coming from the planet's core gets trapped. There's nowhere for it to go. Earth becomes a planetary-scale pressure cooker, and the surface temperature would just skyrocket, quickly rising to boiling and way, way beyond. So what does this all mean for life? The answer? Well, it's simple, it's brutal, and it is total. The combination of everything, the violent upheaval, the insane pressure, the total darkness, and the searing heat, it would all lead to a rapid and complete extinction event. The timeline for this is just terrifyingly fast. Within the first minute, all aquatic life is gone, killed in that violent trip to the sky. Within an hour, the crushing pressure obliterates every land animal and everything we've ever built. Within a day, the total darkness begins to kill off all plant life. And within just 1 week, the soaring temperatures would have boiled and sterilized the entire surface of the planet. And there's no coming back from this.
No ambiguity, no tough little microbes hiding deep underground. The physical conditions would make survival fundamentally impossible. The story of life on Earth would just be over.
So what's left? After all the chaos, the crushing, and the boiling, what is the final state of our old home? What you'd have is a quiet, desolate, and completely alien world.
I love this description. The planet would essentially become a giant churning lava lamp, a sphere of superheated water vapor just shrouded in permanent darkness. That immense pressure and heat would create this strange dynamic state in the hydroatmosphere with massive currents churning slowly in the dark.
And that's the final portrait of Earth, a dead, barren rock stripped of all its features, wrapped in its own boiling, high-pressure ocean. You know, from a distance, it might even look kind of beautiful, a shimmering, water-wrapped jewel in space. But up close, it's a silent tomb.
This whole thing really shows you how delicate the balance of our universe is. We think of the laws of physics as these permanent, unshakable things, but really, they're just the rules of the game we happen to be in. It really leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What other rule is just one tiny change away from rewriting reality completely?